Welcome into Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan Lugo. Thank you so much for tuning in. Happy Halloween and happy trade deadline to you all out there. The Jaguars, they have made a move at the trade deadline here this year for the second straight season. Not quite as big of a move as they made last year to acquire Calvin Ridley, but the Jaguars have traded for a Minnesota Vikings player, not the player a lot of people were hoping for or expecting in pass rusher Danielle Hunter, but the Jaguars have acquired Vikings starting left guard Ezra Cleveland. They sent a 6th to the Minnesota Vikings for Ezra Cleveland. The Jaguars had 2 6th-round picks. They've got plenty of draft capital moving forward, so you don't need to worry about that. But this is a former second-round pick out of Boise, 25 years old, final year of his rookie deal, really athletic, really talented, guy playing at a very high level right now. So you could be looking at this a couple different ways. It might be a short-term rental for the Jaguars to add more talent, depth, and athleticism to their offensive line. I think more likely they want to bring him in here, see what he brings to the table, and potentially bring him back following the 2023 season to be a starter for them in the future as well. But looking at this, Phil Rauscher, he worked with Ezra Cleveland in Minnesota for 2 years, 2020 and 2021. 2020 was Cleveland's rookie year, so definitely had some hands-on work with Ezra Cleveland. I'm sure Phil Rauscher signed off on this deal, was excited to get him in here. What does it mean for the Jaguars starting lineup in depth? So looking at Ezra Cleveland, he's only played left guard for the Minnesota Vikings. He played left tackle exclusively at Boise, so I don't think you're going to see like Luke Fortner coming out of the starting lineup. And Luke Fortner is a guy who I do think needs to start playing a little bit better, more consistently, but he's also a guy that the Jaguars have publicly praised and talked very highly about, whether it be Doug Peterson, Trevor Lawrence, whoever's been talking about Luke Fortner, they are constantly singing his praises. So I think they really like him, and you're not adding Ezra Cleveland to play center. He's never done that before. So I don't think he's going to be in there at that spot. Obviously, I don't think you're replacing Cam Robinson in the starting lineup or Brandon Sheriff. So what I think is there's potential for him to come in here. You've got a bye week to try to get him prepared. I think there's potential for him to come in and compete to start at left guard. And depending on how that plays out, you either kick Walker Little over to right tackle and Anton Harrison to swing tackle, or Walker Little to swing tackle for the remainder of the year. Walker Little was playing such good football for the Jaguars prior to his knee injury. Played left tackle for them for several weeks, then had to kick in and play a little bit of guard before he sustained his injury. We'll see how it kind of plays out now. I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen. This is all speculation at this point in terms of how the shuffling will work. And Doug Peterson was on the Pat McAfee show when the news broke, and so they were talking about it a little bit. At this point, all he said was he adds depth. They want to get him in here and get him acclimated with the scheme, with the room, and see how it progresses moving forward. So I don't know if the Jaguars know exactly what's going to happen with Ezra Cleveland, with the Jaguars starting lineup, but I do think they know that they added a talented, athletic player who's still very young. I think his best football could be ahead of him, very much so, and a guy that Phil Rauscher has experience with. Again, I would expect that at some point in the 2023 season, you're probably looking at Ezra Cleveland in the starting lineup at left guard, and then either Walker Little or Anton Harrison starting at right guard, and the other guy, being the swing tackle. I think that this just really creates more talent, creates more depth, creates more competition up front for the Jaguars on the offensive line, which their offensive line certainly has not been upper echelon or maybe even average. I think at times they've been around average, maybe a little bit below average in pass protection. They've certainly had some weeks where I think that they did a good job. The Jaguars' offensive scheme and Trevor Lawrence, they obviously help out getting rid of the ball quickly. But adding Ezra Cleveland, I think it's a great move for a 6th-round pick. Obviously, low-cost investment, a 6th-round pick, not super valuable. I really like what he brings to the table. I like the idea of potentially being able to bring him back beyond 2023 on a long-term deal, depending how it plays out. But yeah, all speculation at this point as to how Cleveland will directly impact the Jaguars starting lineup. But I'm going to say I think he will start at left guard for them at some point in 2023. And I think that will get your best 5 on the field with either Walker Little or Anton Harrison at right tackle. Again, the Jags had plenty of draft capital for 2024 and beyond. So you're not going to need to worry about this draft class shrinking up or anything like that. Hopefully the Jags can keep Ezra Cleveland around beyond 2023. But again, at the moment, at the very least, they have added really good depth, really good talent, a supreme athlete at left guard, a guy who has played tackle in college. You might be having some guard tackle versatility. You definitely have a better guard at left guard now than you did prior to the trade. So I think it was a good move by the Jaguars, and looking forward to see how it kind of plays out. Again, they have a bye week to figure things out, figure out if they're going to shuffle the offensive line up front. But yeah, heady move, another good one, in my opinion, by Trent Baalke. Not the Vikings player a lot of folks were expecting, but I think that Jaguars fans, once they see Ezra Cleveland on the field and get to know him a little bit more, will be excited to have him around. But thank you so much for tuning in. Hit me up on Twitter at Jordan DeLugo. Let me know what you think about the trade. You can also follow Generation Jaguar at Generation Jag. Hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube, notification bell so you don't miss a show. You can check out genjag.com/shop, pick up some new Duval gear. Y'all have a good one. Happy Halloween.